generations. And now, the power of two restores the one.
We got a bidet! Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're talking about the latest episodes of The Bad Batch. We got two of them. Honestly, they were very different from one another, and it's something I really liked about these two episodes. Is probably the reason why we got two episodes is how different they were. But just to kind of, before we jump into what they were about, how did you guys feel about the fact that the first episode was pretty much all about the Empire and Tantus, and then we finally get to see, and also about Project Necromancer, and then in the second episode we got the Bad Batch. How do you guys feel that dynamic is working in this season?
I think it's pretty cool. I like getting to see the inner workings of the Empire a little bit. You get to see how compartmentalized they are. They don't, all know what all these separate projects are. But yeah, we kind of see their game plan because they still want to get Omega back, after she had escaped. So that's kind of their number one. Well, Hemlock's number one priority right now is kind of getting her back. So we kind
I
of
think it
see
was good
him.
we had the two episodes together.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you like,
Yeah.
so just kind of thinking about, you know, what would be another way of doing this? Like, do you like that they're two separate entities and it works better than, let's say, if we were to kind of mesh the two episodes together and get the Bad Batch and then cut to the Empire, cut to the Bad Batch, go back to the Empire? Do you think it's better to have them completely separate?
It's an interesting topic. I feel
Yeah.
like I always have a hard time deciding, and it never seems to be right. Either we have them separate, I'm like, oh, I wish they would have just gone back and forth, or like in Boba, there was a lot of back and forth, and it seemed like we wish that they were separate. And it's hard to find like a pleasing balance. But I feel like with these two particular episodes, they were pretty fluid in what they were trying to accomplish, and there wasn't a whole lot of intermeshing of like the two storylines didn't really overlap a whole lot. So I think it makes sense to keep them separate in this instance.
Yeah. I think it might have been weird to do pacing maybe if they tried to do it like all together. And there are some parts of the two parts that feel a little bit rushed, like in the next episode. I think the whole like infiltration is goes a little bit quick, but I think they're kind of working with what they had. And I think, you know, we'll see. Oh, Omega, spoiler alert, but Omega, I mean, people have watched the episode if they're here, but uh Omega's headed back to Tantus, so we're gonna see more with Dr. Carr and Hemlock and Omega. So I think that's maybe why we got so much of them this episode. Yeah, because we kind of saw how Dr. Carr is kind of coming around. We're getting little bits and pieces.
Yeah, I think you make a good point with the pacing because the second episode was a lot faster than the first episode this week. And to go back and forth between such rush and such slow moving progress or pacing, I think it would have really taken away from both aspects because you wouldn't really have been wanting to pay attention to the Empire because you'd want to get back to the battle. But then the battle would feel weird and kind of stunted too because of the you know, the having to go back and forth. So I think it was good they had them separate.
Which
What did
is
you
kind of,
think, Jeremy?
I was gonna say, which is kind of funny you mentioned that because when they do live action stuff, thinking back to Ahsoka, a lot of the criticisms with the episode with Hayden Christensen and Ahsoka are, going back and forth and having their lightsaber battle. One of the criticisms was that we'd see a little bit of a lightsaber battle and then we'd cut to just some random thing happening outside of their realm, with I think Jason and Chopper, maybe. I don't remember who was on the island, but it was a criticism that we kept cutting back and forth. And the reason why they were doing it is because it saved on budget with having to edit the lightsaber fight. So here in animation, it's a little bit better that we can, have those things become more fluid and work out the way that they should. But the reason why I asked that question is because I think it's unique and it's starting to become more effective within the Star Wars storytelling. But there's also the thing that Dave Filoni has been saying a lot in his interviews when they, talk to him about being in charge of these projects and his writing process. He's always talking about how he wants to become a better and better writer and storyteller. And I think he's starting to really start to find that happy medium of, what is good storytelling? How can he be, like George, for example? Because I think it's arguably easier to say that nobody has quite hit what George Lucas has done before, but Dave Filoni is really trying to do his best to mimic it.
Yeah. I think in any good story, you should be left with like questions at the end, questions and feelings. And that's usually what I have at the end of the Bad Batch episodes. I'm usually feeling some type of way, you know? I was
Yeah.
feeling sad about Omega, and I was feeling sad about, well, not sad, but curious about Dr. Carr to see if she'll help the good guys, you
With
know?
with that being said, we should probably roll into what the episodes are about this week.
Yeah,
So,
let's do it.
the first episode, like we were talking about, that does focus on the Empire side of things on Tantus. The second episode focuses more on our Bad Batch. So let's go ahead and talk about the first episode. So we open up with a scene on Sarah and I did not quite catch what planet this was. It just seemed like a random one. But basically, there's this little scene at a little supermarket, and there is a child that is playing with a toy, and there's a couple of dudes talking, and this thing goes whipping by them, and the merchant thinks that the dude was throwing his merchandise, and he was like, "No, no, it was the child." And the dude looks over, and this kid is like 1 foot tall. Kind of looks like an Ewok, but it's not an Ewok. And so it's kind of like unbelievable that that kid would have done something. And what kind of sparks in their mind is this might be one of those like special children that we've heard of. And um, they seem to know what they're all talking about without having to say it because someone has said, like, hey, you can't talk about that stuff too loud because you'll bring attention. And so what ends up coming of this is that one of them knows, hey, there is a ridiculously good amount of money that you can make if you turn these people in. And
The
so,
neighbor's a snitch.
yep, he didn't get no stitches, but he got some money. We did get the I can't remember if it was the merchant or the dude buying stuff, but contacted somebody, a bounty hunter. At this point, we don't know who, and said, "Hey, there's something going on here. You might want to check it out." And so we got that going on, and then we also cut back and forth between what's happening on Tantus and with Emery. And so she is approaching Hemlock and saying, like, "Hey, I think I'm kind of, you know, growing into my position here, and I think I should, have some more clearance." And so he's kind of impressed by this and grants her permission to be working on Project Necromancer. And so I had thought that we were going to start seeing quite a bit more about what Project Necromancer was, but we only got to see, in my opinion, a little bit of it. What was your guys' impressions or first impressions when you saw the room that she walked in and like this is it. This is what's behind these closed doors.
I was a bit surprised, to be honest. I was not under the impression that they had more children here being I mean, it makes sense, but I thought that they were doing experiments on all the clone blood because it was so similar that they could kind of pick things out of it and learn from it. Uh, but it seems like they are really going for the M count thing, the midichlorians. So, yeah, we just get three alien, well, four aliens really now with the new one that they're bringing. Children that all seem to be force sensitive. Not that they know what that is, but
Yeah, the room's really bare, and I think that's on purpose, right? Because that's part of like the psychological, you're here as a prisoner, you do what you're told, you're not here to have fun kind of a thing. You're an object, not a human being. I know they're not humans, but you get the point.
You're not a person.
Yeah. And there's reason for such high security, and we find that out later in the episode when one of the kids tries to escape.
Yeah. Austin, I already talked to Sarah about this, but I didn't know if you thought of this when you first saw them. So when they show the children, I go, red, blue, green, Powerpuff Girls.
that is funny. I did not notice that, but yeah, they were all of different skin colors, which was kind of interesting,
I
funny.
thought the green one looked like the Green Giant, except in kid form.
Yeah,
Or
a little
like
bit.
is it Beast Boy or something from Teen Titans?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Beast Boy.
But what we get from this scene is that Emery is pretty surprised to find out that it's children that they are keeping behind these walls. And honestly, this is kind of where we start to feel or see that she probably has a soft spot. Like, she knew that this project was important. She knows that her job is important. She believes in what she's doing. But as soon as she sees what's really going on, it kind of appears that there's a little change of heart.
Yeah, I think uh she had a little bit of a connection with Omega when Omega was there.
They
So
are
I think
family.
that's kind of been in the back of her mind. But yeah, I think just seeing the kids kind of she's well, especially when the one tried to get away and then I mean, we haven't quite got there to the summary yet, but yeah, one tries to get away and then he's punished and then the other girl doesn't trust her anymore. So there's like this whole thing going on where I think she kind of really feels for them.
Well, and they're so impressionable. Like I think from her standpoint, it's easier to tell adults what to do and to force them into essentially slavery, even though they're not really doing labor at this specific place, but they're not allowed to leave, right? Prisoners. But for kids, they don't know what's going on. They don't know why they're there. They don't know why they're being kept away from their families and, so isolated and such strict rules. And so to have so many questions, and she doesn't really have answers to any of that because like, why can't they be there with their families? Like
Hmm.
it's just one of those things of like it's a lot tougher to be in charge of kids in that situation, I think.
It,
Well, yeah, and they all think they're going home. Like the kids think they're going home eventually. So, I mean, they're being lied to the whole time about it too. Um,
it made me
so they're
wonder because, like, I'm sure it was a, a better hospitality from the Jedi, but I mean, this kind of really is no different than what the Jedi did. If they knew that there were children that were force sensitive or had this M count thing going on, they would take them from their families and take them to the Jedi Order to try to, raise them as Jedi. So it's similar, but at the same time, this is kind of like the worst end of the kidnapping.
Yeah.
and have we got that far? Who does the kidnapping? Jeremy?
Yeah, that's the next part. So, Austin and I were talking about this a little bit before we started rolling, but we see Cad Bane, and so his role really isn't huge in this episode. It's cool to see him, of course, but Cad Bane goes and collects the child from the dude that tattletaled on the child. And it's kind of funny because Cad Bane doesn't even really respect the guy. He just throws the money at him. So
I love that.
it gives
Yeah.
more uh, color to Cad Bane's character, so to speak.
It's dirty money.
It is.
And I took a couple things from that. Uh, yeah, that he's making way more than what he's paying that guy for the tip is kind of what I pulled from that. That he's just, throwing it at him like that. And oh, isn't that not the same? I don't want to be alien racist here, but is that not the same race of guy that gets into it with Obi-Wan at the bar?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it. All right. Can't trust those guys.
Yeah, they
But
don't
yeah,
have not the
seeing
greatest track record yet.
Cad Bane and his droid Toto were there. I will say he did not kill the mother of the alien. He stunned her, so maybe she'll see her child again. Maybe. Uh, Probably not, but maybe.
Didn't they let the child have its toy too?
They did. I thought that was really odd. So Cad Bane's droid gave it to the baby so it'd stop crying, which I thought was weird because why didn't you just shut the door in the bassinet? I don't think anybody could hear the cries outside of that. So that was the point of giving it the toy. But once the baby got to the facility at Tantus and it's still knocked out or sleeping or whatever, it still had the toy, and I thought that was really strange because they're not supposed to have any personal effects on them. And it seems like that's something that they would have stripped from the kid right away.
You'd think.
Yeah, maybe Cad Bane doesn't really care too much about it. Maybe he just wants to make them like comply easier, like go with him, be, I don't know.
He only has to deal with this kid for a couple hours, so
Right.
if it gets him to be quiet, then great.
Yeah.
However, while Cad Bane is on his way over to Tantus, we learned something very important here about Omega. Omega is, of course, the prime subject of Hemlock, and we learned through was it his discussion or was it Nala Say that was telling Emery about why Omega is so important? I think it was
I think it
Hemlock.
was Hemlock.
Yeah, so Hemlock is talking to Emery and saying, um, you know, we got this M count thing going on, but the reason why Omega is so special is because her blood can be replicated, whereas any other of these M count situations, they fail when they try to replicate. So it makes me wonder if this is kind of like the answer to how Palpatine is able to clone himself or the Snokes through the research.
Yeah, it seems like that's where this could definitely be heading. Um, yeah, I think Hemlock gives Emery kind of all the details about what they're doing. He says all the children were important because of M count in their blood, and Omega's was even more special. Yeah, I forget the exact wording he used, but yeah, they're trying to replicate it or bond to it or something like that. Which kind of makes me wonder, like, if they know where Omega is, and they know they need Omega because her blood can help them. Why are they still getting this little young Jedi, not Jedi, but Force sensitive kid? It's like, why are they getting both when they could just get
The one.
the one? But I guess the one happens later.
The way that I
Well,
understand how her blood works is I thought they said it's like a binding agent. So I think they use her blood to replicate the Jedi blood in the other kids.
Hmm.
I don't know. What my response to what Austin was saying a second ago is that, they didn't know about Omega's blood until they saw Omega's blood. And so it kind of makes me wonder if they think, if it happens with one person, can it happen with others? So that would be a reason to get
Oh,
the other
true.
children.
True, true. Yeah, they could just keep trying. Yeah, that makes sense. Um,
I think right around this time is when the green child, SP32, is what his name was. What that stands for, I have no idea. Special
Special
Specimen.
person.
projects.
Oh, special project.
That's my guess.
Oh, okay. SP32 tries to escape. He notices that when Emery or whoever is coming into this area that they're living, when they go to exit, they take the little data pad, they slide it in, they do a little thing, and the door opens. And so, what he tries to do is to steal one of these data pads and go to the door. But the problem is that once they knew that he was trying to escape, they set off the alarms, they went into lockdown mode, and essentially none of the data pads would work to open that door. So that kind of elevates the importance, not only the lasers that could kill you to get back there, but um, also these children can't even escape because of the door locking.
Yeah, it's clearly very valuable to the Empire, to the Emperor himself. Sorry, that word's hard to say. But yeah, for as um, as observant as I think they say his name later, I think the green kid is Jax, maybe. Um, pretty sure. For as observant as he is, to see the data pad that can open the door and get out, how did he not see, the ring of people all above just observing him every second that were instantly gonna trigger the alarm? It's not important,
Well, you
but
gotta remember it's a kid, so if I
he's a
can just
kid.
run fast enough, if I could
Yeah.
just get over there, they won't see it coming. All I have to do is get past the door.
Yeah, yeah, and then not get stunned, but he gets stunned anyway, even though Emery tries to get them not to stun him.
I think that's a big piece of Emery's character development in this episode too, is she's starting to see just how bad these kids have it, like just how desperate they are to go home and that they literally have nothing. Because at least with Omega, she had a job to do and she followed Emery and she had different tasks, and these kids are just kept in this room to do nothing. Like the one has this weird like digital Tetris, I'll call it. It's just a weird like little game game that they're playing. But other than that, there's really nothing in there. No toys, just nothing.
Yeah, they're truly just like lab specimens, just kept alive and given minimal stuff to do, and they're not living very good right now.
No, and on top of that, Emery goes to talk to Nalase and finds out that these kids, even though they believe someday they're going to go home, they won't. Basically, Emery learns that the Empire is basically going to be watching over these kids for the rest of their lives. Whether that's going to be, them living out their lives so that they can be tested on, or is it going to be like an Order 66 situation?
Well, and I think this is where we learned too. Emery said something insinuating of like why you abandoned me when I was a kid, or something along those lines that kind of insinuated that Emery has been here since she was a child and that she at one point used to be a prisoner who needed help and didn't get it and whatnot. And I think that's why she has such a soft spot for these kids, because she sees herself in them.
Yeah, that's true. We don't know too much about her past. That would be something I'd be interested to find out a little bit more um, in the next episodes. I don't know if we will, but I think you might be onto something there.
Yeah, with only 4 episodes left, I don't think we're gonna see Emery's backstory.
Yeah.
Who knows? There's still stuff in the trailers that we haven't seen yet, so there might be. We do get like a little side scene, I would call it, that um really rings back. So like I've talked to some of our other friends about Star Wars stuff, and they have asked about, why did they switch from clones to these stormtroopers and stuff. And when they heard that the reason was because Tarkin didn't want to pay for it and it was financials, they were like, seriously? And so it's interesting to me that we get like another Tarkin financial uh grumbling here when he's talking to Hemlock. Like he's saying like, Hemlock, you are asking for too much money. What do you need this money for? And he's like, that is classified and you can't know. And it's just this back and forth of, I need to keep track of numbers, and you're asking for too much.
He's eating up their whole defense budget. I don't know what his plan is.
Yeah, he's the reason why that they weren't able to cover up that exhaust port.
Yeah, yeah. He's the reason for that. He's also the reason they had to go to the stormtroopers. Like it's all just Hemlock. He's stealing the funding.
Terrible.
All right. Well, how did they wrap that conversation? He just says like, okay.
Yeah, I think it was just like a mutual not liking of each other. But
Well, it's
that is
kind
that
of a
is
bit of
not
a
the
Oh, it's kind of like a threat, like an open-ended like, oh, you better make it, all these funds worth it, right? Isn't that kind of what he says?
yeah, exactly.
but we get something more important in this little scene with Hemlock, right? I'm sure Tarkin was just
Uh,
kind of a cameo appearance.
yeah, yeah.
We see Hemlock talking to the shadow operative and basically saying like, hey, we need you to get on this and, find Omega. Um, and let's see. Yeah, he sends the operative to go track Omega. Cad Bane eventually shows up and delivers the child that he captured to the Empire, to
Well,
Emery herself.
Emery gives Omega's little straw toy to the red girl. Don't know her name.
I didn't
I
catch her
think
name.
it's Eva.
Sounds
It's
right, I think.
she gets the doll. She smiles a little bit.
It's like a peace offering of you're mad at me, here you go, have a toy.
Yeah.
And between that and Emery noticing that SP-32 is now missing, that is how we wrap up the first episode. So very, very heavy on the Empire side of things. Nowhere did we see the Bad Batch in this episode. That is saved for the second episode. Any other thoughts for the first episode? Any things that you thought were interesting or noteworthy?
I feel like we pretty much talked about the stuff I wanted to cover. Um,
I need a Cad Bane show.
Yeah.
yeah.
Small side note, everybody's talking about the Tales of the Empire that's coming out. People are saying, well, we got Tales of the Jedi. We're gonna get Tales of the Empire. Is Tales of the Bounty Hunters next? Because that would be
That
pretty cool.
that would be pretty cool. I feel like they might be doing just these two, but we'll
If the
see.
second one is a banger, that would be a mistake that they
Yeah,
quit.
yeah, yeah. I think there's a lot of cool stories they could do. Um,
All right.
Bounty
Well,
hunters and stuff.
we got the second episode, and we do open up with uh, one of the characters that we haven't seen too much, but honestly, she's the reason why that I keep thinking like, well, we're definitely going to see her more often because she's in the trailer, and that is Fee. Fee is at a space station. She's just fueling up her ship. But this is where this shadow operative dude first gets his lead to where Omega is. He is told of basically somebody that frequents wherever Omega is, and so he goes to steal some of these, um, what I would call Google locations. from her ship. That way he can track where Fee has been going. And this is how the Shadow Operative is going to be linked to where Omega and the Bad Batch are.
Yep,
See.
and he parks his ship in that same little cave that we saw. Oh, I'm gonna blank on her name. Ventress, where we saw
Ventress.
Ventress park before. It's a perfect parking spot. It's guest parking, right?
Yep, she left the spot, so he's gonna slide right in there.
With his incredibly long ship.
Yeah. This cool diamond shaped ship.
Looks like a pool torpedo.
Yeah. It looked like even on his map that the little cave he parked in was kind of marked somehow. I don't know how he would already know where that is, but
Yeah, because it wasn't Fee that, well, at least not that I think we have seen. I don't think we've seen Fee park over there. We saw Ventress park there, but
yeah. Who knows?
yeah. So what we learned about the Bad Batch, because of course the Shadow Operative is kind of in the shadows. He's sneaking around at first. The Bad Batch are getting ready to leave Pabu. They believe that if they stay there, that they're basically endangering the people of Pabu from an Imperial presence, and so they want to move on. Omega does leave her little doll toy and Tech's glasses behind as kind of like a remembrance piece. One of her friends takes her to like this little area where it's kind of like a, uh, I wouldn't call it, I don't know what I'd call that.
Like a hall of artifacts.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I was going to say museum, but that's not really what it is. Um, yeah, so she puts those there so the people of Pabu can remember them. And let's see.
We got Wrecker loading up the ship with supplies.
Yep. And what happens to him?
Ooh, well, you can't escape if your ship blows up, so that's step number one from the Shadow Operative.
Yeah, he shoots some explosives onto the Bad Batch's ship, and Wrecker like sees the little beeping going. I think he hears it first, and then looks over and sees it, and he's like, "Oh crap!" And then
Yeah, just like at the last second.
before he can actually get to safety, it does explode, and um, he is injured. So they take him away. I think they take him to the mayor's house or something like that, so they can oversee what's going on with him.
Yeah, I thought it might have been a med bay, but it's something. Just some little room area.
This is where the episode really starts to pick up, though, because now we just get the Empire rushing into Pabu, and they are destroying any means of transportation off the planet, even like off the island, because they destroy all those skiffs that they use for fishing and stuff. But also, of course, the Bad Batch's ships, so they can't fly away, and they jam the comms. So not only can they not fly away, but they can't talk to one another either.
Yeah, that's something I think is pretty easy to overlook because they always have comms. Like they're always like in each other's ear and talking into the communicators and stuff. Um, so that kind of like adds to the tension of the episode. Because the group kind of gets split up once everything kind of breaks into chaos. They kind of just, well, they're kind of together and they decide that they don't have a lot of options. I mean, Rutgers already down. Um, but yeah, I think Hunter kind of comes up with a plan, or they somehow come up with a plan that they might be able to steal a gunship. Um, and then Crosshair and Omega end up kind of splitting off.
They're
To
trying to get back to Wrecker.
yeah,
While all that's going on, the mayor is trying to stick up for his island. He approaches the shadow operative and is basically saying like, "Hey, you have no right to be here. You're destroying all my stuff with no reason. Like, what's going on?" And the operative tells him like, "Until Omega is handed over, your island will burn." And so it's kind of like one of those situations where the mayor is trying to plead like, hey, there's nothing going on here, what are you doing, even though he knows that there are some people there that are on radar, so to speak. And so the shadow operative is telling him, insinuating of, hey, I know you're giving me, some lies, some bull, and so until you come forward with what we want, you're gonna suffer. So, see.
They start going house by house, searching
Yep.
everything, trying to find Omega. While Hunter
Which,
tries to find a ship.
I know a lot of people just watch Star Wars because, it's fun, it's exciting, it's crazy, but I think this is really interesting because if we remember back to how Star Wars was first created and what um the origins of the stormtroopers and everything were, they were, based off the stormtrooper designs from the Nazis from World War II. And this is very much like when they were going door to door trying to find Jewish people. So they're like going door to door trying to find Omega here. So they really did this episode and this season itself really has a dark tone to it and is showing, the evils of the Empire. And so I think it's really good that they're doing this because I think arguably in the original trilogy, although the Empire was the big bad guy, I don't really think we had a lot of reason to fear the Empire as an audience. But this is really starting to amp it up, and I like that they're taking those risks.
Yeah, I mean, these are still like early days, right? So they're kind of trying to get everyone in line. So it almost kind of makes sense later why people are just so falling in line with everything and um they
Complying.
don't really, yeah, they turn a blind eye to it. Exactly. But at least for right now, the people of Pabu are sticking up for themselves as much as they can anyways.
Yeah,
Um,
following that dark tone, Hunter tries to steal one of their ships because that's really the only way you're going to get off this island at this point. And he seems to be doing good at first, right? He gets onto one, he eliminates all of the stormtroopers that are in the back, or so he's at this point he just has to take over from the pilot. Pilot's kind of steering a little bit kittywampus, like trying to shake him off. But the shadow down on the ground sees that something's wrong, and so he notices that that ship's been compromised. And I think the pilot may have even said something over the comms that his ship's been compromised. But what does the shadow do? He uses his sniper and he takes out the pilot, and the whole ship comes crashing down. And Hunter's got a long way to swim to shore before he can do anything else to try to get another ship. And this is really just kind of the start of the downfall of the episode and how things are not working out the way that they usually do.
I
yep.
really liked that they took that risk of, killing the pilot. Like it shows that the Empire sees even its own people as expendable. Like, hey, you are risking the fact that these people can get off. I'm gonna kill you, and then try to crash your ship and kill the other guy.
Yeah, my only thing with that is if you can make that shot and hit the pilot, could you not just hit Hunter, who's in the open door right behind? But anyway, that's not important.
It's
It
a
wasn't
fair
as
point.
cool.
So we have two bad batchers down, uh, two and a half still standing. Um, Batcher takes on four stormtroopers by herself, causes a little distraction, so Crosshair and Omega can get past some troopers. It seems like they're kind of headed to the mayor's house. I don't know if that's like at the top of the island or it seems like it's pretty high up. But they're running out of options, and Omega kind of has this heart to heart with Crosshair, like, hey, we might have to come up with another plan. They're just gonna keep searching for me.
Well, and that they saw that Hunter went down, so he's, that plan with him didn't work out, so they got to come up with something else.
Yeah.
I think she's feeling a lot of guilt too for her brothers falling, even if they're not dead, they're still They're taking hits for her, really. It's not hits for the team, it's hits for her.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she knows that they're just after her in this moment. So she sees all the destruction, everything they're doing to the people that live here that are all innocent. So she decides that the only thing she can do is just turn herself over. Um, she wants to put a tracker on the ship. They kind of they think one step ahead, two steps ahead, that okay, they'll check you for tracking devices. So they say, hey, we'll just put one on the ship. Crosshair doesn't like the plan at all, but he goes along with it anyways, because I think he knows that he wouldn't be able to talk Omega out of it.
I think he would have had to stun her.
Yeah, probably.
And then it would have been really hard to keep her safe.
Yep. So that's sure what she does. She goes and turns herself over.
Yep. And the
Um,
operative checks over her. I think, didn't she have a comm device that he crushes or something?
Yeah, she was trying to see it, like maybe they won't check me for it, but of course they check her for it, so she has to hand it over, and she's like, well, it was worth a shot.
yeah, to me that was almost like that's the one that I'm gonna let you see, right? That's like the magician showing you the one hand over here when they've got something hidden over here. Like, yeah, I'll let you think that you're getting my tracker. Meanwhile, she's got the backup plan, right? Like we're gonna get one on the ship instead.
I didn't think
I
of it
think
like that. I like it.
I don't know if they thought that far ahead. Maybe it was just like we'll try both and see what sticks, but neither one stuck. So gonna be a little bit hard to find Omega.
Well, yeah, because Crosshair tries to shoot the ship to put the tracking device on there, and he gets ambushed by some other troopers. And when he actually does, he takes them out and he's ready to make the shot, and it's just barely too late. It's like me throwing a softball to somebody. I can't throw that hard. I can't make it that far. It's a good effort, but it's just not enough.
Just hit the ground right in front of
Makes me wonder why he didn't try to elevate it a little bit more, but maybe the calculations were what he was supposed to do and it just didn't work out. But
Well, and
him.
at some point, you can only elevate it so much before it just comes right down in front of you.
right, got that 45-degree angle.
Yeah, it seemed like it was just like a timing thing. Like they kind of took off right as it was, about to come down and land on it. So just those extra few seconds that he had to take out the troopers really just screwed him up.
Yep.
Um,
So now
so
Omega's on her way, and I think her and Crosshair had talked about like what if it doesn't work, the other tracker, and she's like, well, we have to try. You got to think of the bigger mission. We've been wanting to go back to Tantus anyway, like this is our shot. So she knows that there was a chance the tracker might not make it on there, but I'm sure in her mind she's thinking and hoping and planning on there's a tracker on here, they're going to follow me. That's what's going to happen next. So she doesn't really know that it doesn't work.
yeah, that's true. I guess we don't know. Omega, as far as she knows, help is on the way. I don't think that's gonna stop her from trying to get out of her situation. But she might, she might have to wait a little while. I mean, we saw before when she was on Tantus, she was marking off the days. She was there for quite a while. So, um, she might be ready for an extended stay again, unfortunately. But we'll have to see. Well, there's 3 episodes or something.
4 more, yeah. One of the things I liked about the final, so we know about Omega. Hunter is okay. He comes back to land. He's all good. But the final shot is with Omega. And what I really liked about this final shot is it's kind of showing her maturity in a way, because we learned a couple episodes ago when she was hanging out with Crosshair, she was trying to teach him like about meditation and controlling your emotions and stuff. And it kind of seemed like that's what she was doing. She was taking that deep breath and letting herself know it's going to be okay, like trust the process in a way. And so I thought it was kind of a cool thing to put that in there at that final shot, that she knows she's going to be okay. Like she's not afraid. She's ready to
Mhm.
see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a nice little moment. She just kind of takes a deep breath and, exhales and just, yeah, just kind of at peace in her mind with the decision. So that's good.
So with
Um,
these 4 episodes that are left, we definitely know that Fee is coming back, because Fee is part of the trailer, and there's like a shot where they're in like an old Republic tank and they're rolling across the edge of a mountain. Um, do you think that they're gonna have to like go and find something like an informant or somebody that might have the coordinates? I was kind of wondering if maybe when the operative was messing with things and like downloading the coordinates, maybe he accidentally left some of his own information behind.
yeah. It seemed like Fee was on to, she had like a spidey sense going on when he snuck onto her ship. So maybe she'll find out somehow. I mean, she'll probably hear about Pabu, right? I would have to imagine she hears about that. So maybe she puts two and two together. Maybe the Bad Batch just asks her for help. It could be any number of things, depending on how much time they want to spend in the episode. It could take anywhere from 5 seconds to 5 minutes. So
I
I
feel
don't
like
know.
they're more likely to try and get help from either Ventress or uh Fennec.
Yeah, because so who told them about the M count thing? Was it
I was Ventress.
Ventress.
Ventress? Okay. Um, hmm.
Well, I mean, they kind of got a little bit of information from Rex at first. Like he had said, I'm fully aware that this thing is important, but I don't know what it is. But Ventress was the one that spilled the beans of, what is this thing?
Didn't but did Fee tell them about the bounty hunters, or was that
Fee was who told them if you want information, you're gonna have to talk to a bounty hunter. And
okay?
that's why they knew to talk to Fennec.
Right.
That's what I thought. So maybe they go back to Fee since that's like their only connection to what they're doing on Tantus now, right? That's kind of like their only lead, I feel like.
This could be wild. And we talked about just now in this discussion, what's the big significance for Cad Bane? What if he's the bounty hunter that they find out from? He's been
Yeah.
there.
What if they go track him down?
I was saying, like, if Fee does something similar and they go to see him, and then it's kind of one of those awkward things because Hunter and him, had their little Western shoot off, I think in season 1 or season 2, I don't remember which. Um, but it would be like an awkward scenario. Like maybe they do like a little battle once again, and Hunter wins, and the thing that they win is information, or I don't know. It just seems very weird that Cad Bane was in this episode just to transport a kid to Tantus. I feel like maybe that's going to be the link.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where my head's at too. I think the bounty hunters, either Ventress or Cad Bane, is going to be the way they get back there. Um, yeah, you guys got any other bold predictions going forward about what we think?
I don't know about bold predictions, but I do think it's going to be an epic finale, because if they're going to Tantus, Tantus is incredibly important to the Emperor. And so if he hears that something is going down at that facility, I can imagine he's going to be sending in every possible like brute force person to go over there and take care of it. Maybe he goes himself, maybe he sends Vader, maybe there's Inquisitors that show up. I think something is going to happen there where the base is going to be under attack. The kids might be getting set free by the Bad Batch and whoever, and there's going to be a significant Imperial presence over there.
I just thought about this. Didn't we find out in Kenobi that Quinlan Voss was like getting the children
We did.
to safety?
And what's his connection to somebody we've already seen?
Yeah, he's got a connection with Ventress. I
Yeah.
just found out. I watched a YouTube video about it.
Yep. I think they were lovers, weren't they?
Yeah, I think so. In a book. So maybe we get a little bit of that action. You get Ventress could solo this whole facility. I don't care how much support they have. She'll just walk right in, and Ventress plus the Bad Batch, they'll make quick work of this place.
Ventress and Quinlan versus Vader and the Emperor. I think that'd be pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I think that would be a bold prediction. I don't think it'll happen, but I think it'd be cool.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sarah.
Our last episode is called The Cavalry Has Arrived. So one side or the other is gonna get a big group joining in there.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
hopefully it's good, guys.
so do you think the finale of the Bad Batch is going to be what the finale battle of Rise of Skywalker probably should have been? Because
Well, it's like a big face-off.
yeah, because they had all those tons of ships arrive, but they didn't really do a whole lot with that. It kind of makes me wonder if that's like a try number 2.
Oh, like they get the coordinates and then all these ships show up to Tantus. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, that'd be kind of
like
cool.
the Republic.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That wasn't
Well,
where my head was at,
Rebels.
but that would be cool. Um, I was just gonna say a silly thing because Ventress was kind of showing Omega what you can kind of do with the Force. Not that this is something you would try to do, but just the way she was like reaching out with her hand, like feeling the energy. She got all the fish to swim around the boat. Um, what if Omega connects to all the other Batchers that are still there on Tantus, and then she just has an army of them?
I was wondering when she
We
was on
saw
that
what one
ship.
of them could do.
That'd be
I
pretty
was wondering when
cool.
she was on that ship at the very end, like, is she gonna try and practice and see if she can do something?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I hope she does something with the Force since they've
Like,
been throwing
like
it in
Sabine
our.
moving the cup.
Yeah, see, they've been spoon feeding us too much. Just give me a little something.
You think Nala Se is gonna make it out?
I don't know. She's just a prisoner right now. But
I think she's too slow. She can't run.
yeah, she's a little slow. Those Kaminoans are like sloths.
I more or less mean, do you think, once things are hitting the fan, do you think the Empire will essentially execute her?
I
Um,
think so.
it depends if they think they can get her to comply. Like, I don't know if they would be able to, if Omega's enough leverage to get her to continue to work for them. But they don't trust her, so there's that. It is a weird situation. But it's like, why are they hanging on to her right now, you know?
Yeah,
So,
just to keep her quiet.
right, that's probably the reason. But um, yeah, makes you think.
Cool.
4 episodes left.
Yeah,
Four
I am
episodes.
excited. It's kind of a really cool time to be a Star Wars fan at the moment. We got a lot of things to look forward to. I think it was last year. I think it was last year, maybe the year before, where like May 4th had absolutely nothing attached to it. And so people were pretty disappointed. But I mean, this show will be wrapping up right before, and then the theatrical re-release of Phantom Menace will be out. And then we get um, Tales of the Empire that comes out. So there's a lot of stuff going on right around that time. Maybe there'll be more announcements too. Who knows? Trailers for things, sneak peeks. I know Tuesday we're supposed to get a new trailer for Outlaws, so I'm looking forward to that.
That's the game, right?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. So Well, that was our discussion on the latest 2 episodes of The Bad Batch. Of course, we got 4 more coming for us, and um, I'm excited to see what happens. Probably the most excited I've been, in reference to the other seasons, just because we've seen how dark this season has been. We've seen that they're willing to take risks, so maybe we'll see some pretty interesting things here down the stretch. But if you enjoyed this type of video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way you are notified when our future videos drop. We got tons of other things coming, especially with, the Acolyte's coming out soon too. So we'll be covering that. We'll probably cover Tales of the Empire, give our thoughts on it. So check back here when those drop. Drops a like if you like the video, and drops a comment letting us know what your thoughts were on the 2 episodes. And then, as always, everybody, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
See ya.